This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Heart Mojo with Melinda Smith. And Melinda, we're taking, again, a little slightly different path because we started out talking about health journeys. And today we're talking about maybe some of the people will be on health journeys while they're going through this, but that's not quite what we're talking about. So give us an idea.
Well, it's a challenge of moving ahead in life and making changes. And you never know where life's going to take you. You can become ill and then you've got to move on into a different place, maybe sell your home and go to a condo or an apartment. And that's a big challenge for people in the community, even if you're not a senior, but especially for seniors. So I would like to introduce my friend who's helped me with one of my seniors move forward. Her name is StephanieMcFearin, and she's from Howard Hanna here in the Cleveland area. So welcome, Stephanie.
Hi.
We're in a lot of our senior networking groups together, and I thought her information would be valuable to get out to maybe it's a boomer helping their parents, or maybe it's the boomer themselves who want to move. I don't know. Depends on who's watching. So tell us a little bit about yourself first. Like, how did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so actually, funny story. So this was about more than that, actually 7 years ago-ish. I actually needed to find a home and I needed to sell my home. And actually it wasn't the best experience. So that's actually how I got into real estate. And before that, my background, I was in hospitality hotels for 20 years. So with customer service, management, doing a little bit of everything, helping out with even clients coming in and out of the hotel, it was perfect for me to slide right into going into real estate because it's very similar. So, and
Right,
especially
yeah.
with the background of marketing and sales.
Customer service.
Yep, absolutely. So since coming from that experience that I had, and then I'm like, hey, I could do this and really help people out with the total life change, whether they're selling or buying or even downsizing. So,
Well, like I said, I had a very good experience. I was helping a friend get rid of their home. They didn't have a choice. They had to move into nursing home.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what downsizing means for seniors. What do you notice? Give us a little background on that.
Yeah. So a few things. Basically with downsizing for seniors, it could be very emotional, right? Emotional and tough time because there's so many parts and aspects involved. So basically from the physical aspect to the emotional aspect, that's why I'm here to help out clients in all different ways. So basically with downsizing, it could range. So basically they could downsize and go into a place that's going to be like smaller, like an apartment or a rental, or going even into assisted living or nursing home, or even with a loved one. So, and it could be a lot just from just the tiniest thing of trying to, figure out their items, what they want to keep, not keep, right? And have a plan and strategy for that. Or even saying, hey, what's my timeline? When should I actually do this? And sometimes that can even take a while. That could take a minimum of 3 months all the way up to like a few years, just figuring out what the plan is and what they need to do. So,
well, you are part of our senior networking community. So do you reach out to people in the community to help you with some of those things?
yes, absolutely. So being part of the Cleveland Senior Networking Group is great. And we have vendors and business partnerships, local partnerships together. So basically, hey, they contact me, I'm the realtor, and I have A through Z for them of everyone. That includes like a moving company that can help them out that specializes in seniors, a caregiver that can help them to even help them after we find them and move them into something else. So just depending on what their needs are, and my list that I have and my partnership with people is, making sure, hey, I approve and I'll make sure they're using something that's, I'm giving them the best, basically. So, because I trust them and then I can help them and vice versa.
So when you first talk to somebody, especially a senior, or maybe it's their children that want the house sold and then so much the senior. What kind of, what do you do to help that person move forward and get through that challenge of downsizing and moving on?
Yeah, so there's kind of a few different things. So basically, if the kids are like, hey, mom, we got to sell this house, or hey, dad, we have to sell this house, and maybe they're not very keen on that in particular, I'd help them through the steps. First step is I'd actually go over there with them and meet with the kids and then meet with the parents, right? So I actually have a meeting so they feel comfortable and they trust me, even utilizing me and talking to me, right? So, and making sure they feel comfortable. And then also just giving them an actual plan, but it's something that they feel comfortable with. So not being pushy at all, not being like, hey, you got to sell your home, you got to sell it immediately, right? Just giving them the facts of, if you sold your home, here's your net proceeds, which net proceeds mean, hey, after whatever they own on the loan, they would get that difference amount back in their pocket. So basically, hey, I owe this much left on a loan. Here's the value of your home. You minus it out, and here's what you're actually going to get when you actually sell your home. And they're actually very surprised. Like once they see like the value of how much their home is worth and how much they're actually going to get, that does help them too. And then they go, wow, I can't believe I can actually now downsize into like a small little ranch, small little condo, moving in with the family for a little bit, going into assisted living. Maybe I feel more comfortable there. So whatever it is of where they want to go, and actually having that plan set into place for them and whatever they feel comfortable with.
A plan to give them a new home.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you go in and assess areas for people to move into or out of, when you go into the home, what kind of situations do you find? I can think of one in particular, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. Yeah.
Well, we could. Do you
There's
find that
been,
happen?
yeah, so there's been some crazy actually situations so that I've helped them out. Oh, can you see me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So basically, there was one situation, it was out on the east side, all the way east side, and it was the daughter was helping out the mom. And she was even embarrassed for me to even come in her house because it was a hoarding situation. So, and she had a bunch of cats, hoarding situation, a few dogs as well. She was like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. The daughter even called and was like, hey, before you come over, here's the situation. So at least I knew ahead of time. So when I came over, I just made sure to make her feel comfortable. I didn't make her feel like, oh my gosh, this is a hoarding situation. There's stuff everywhere. I can't walk through. I just made her feel comfortable where she can actually trust me, and took out the time to let her know, hey, maybe we can move a few things around. I know a company that can help out. They can come in. Oh, look, there's some items that are actually valuable. Maybe we can get some money for them for you. So making her feel like I'm not pushing her out of her home, right? Or even like the kids. So making her feel like, hey, even with a tough situation, we're there and we're there to help you.
So do you get in situations where the person isn't living there, which is the situation I'm thinking of? So full disclosure for everybody, she helped me with one of my friends who had a horrible accident and lost both legs and needed help in selling his home. Neither one of us knew when we went that it was a hoarder situation.
Yeah.
So tell me when you're in that kind of frame, because it's different if you can sit and talk to that person, but initially you couldn't do that. How did you find someone to buy that house with all that stuff?
Yeah. So the good news is with that, we have what's called, that we can do, in some places can't do this, but we can specifically, you can do an opt out. So what that means is, it actually, when you list your home, it doesn't go on the market where everyone can see it. So like Zillow, realtor.com. So you can do what's called an opt out, where it's not going everywhere, because that's embarrassing, right, with their situation and what they have
Right.
going on. And I have clientele on my end. I, for example, have investors that they love a situation like that, because they can see, they can come in, they are even willing to clean it out, they're even willing to fix it up. And usually most times they'll actually come in and maybe they even want to buy it, they don't want to flip it, because a lot of families too feel, hey, I don't want them to flip the home, I want it to go for a family, right, or a loved one. So on my end, I have that database of my clientele of someone that would want to buy it before it even going on the market. And that's nice because it keeps the sale private. So people, they will still know about it. And even within Howard Hanna, we have programs as well that we can do our opt-outs and things like that. But it's still, everyone will still know about it. It just is not public. So it helps
Mhm.
out with not having all these people coming through or the neighbors being nosy, right? So we really have that help for that customer in finding them a buyer or an investor to come in as soon as possible. So,
Well, and that's what you did for him.
yes.
Find somebody who could come and buy it as it is, which isn't
Mhm.
always easy. And I'm sure
No.
there's somebody out here listening saying, oh my God, that's a situation with my mother or my father. You know, you think, I can't possibly sell it this way, but it's so overwhelming that they can't take care of it themselves. Maybe they have their own life too, right? Working, kids, things like that. They're that sandwich generation. They don't
Yeah.
have time to clean out a hoarder situation.
No, they
But you
don't.
can
And
help
it's,
them do it.
yeah, and it's stressful, right? For whether it's the kids that are trying to help or even that person in particular that no longer lives there. They're like, what do I do? And you hate to see the thing that you don't want to see. And this even this is even with the community and the neighbors and everyone, including yourself. You never want to see a house that actually goes into foreclosure or even a short sale. You'd rather
Mhm.
try to save the deal before something like that happens, right, for your client. So,
Right.
because what happens is if it goes into a foreclosure or short sale and that sells for a low amount, then in that community, it's going to bring down the value of the house. So if there's all these homes that are $500,000, but that house goes in foreclosure at 150, now they're going to see that and it could bring down the comps and the value when then that next client is trying to sell their home.
Well, and in addition, you want to get as much for that individual as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, moving, all areas are expensive now, whether it's a condo or a house or even apartment living is, but especially when you go into assisted living or nursing home. So they need as much money as they can get, and you help them do that.
Yes.
You were able to help my friend, and you know, we had an attorney involved to make sure that we didn't miss any outstanding debt, but we were able to get some money for that house when he could have lost everything,
Yeah.
and then use that to help him for some quality of life.
Yeah. And it helps even just a little bit helps if even saying, hey, even you should typically when a client comes in and they're buying that house from that, senior or whoever it is, even it's nice if you can sell it as is and you don't have to have extra X
Work.
amount of dollars for repairs, right? Things like that, or even like a home warranty. So every penny adds up of trying to get as much as you can for that house, for that
Is there
client.
an advantage for people to try to fix up the home versus selling it as is? Is there an advantage for them? And is it, I mean, because ultimately, I think people come in and go, oh, I don't like that wallpaper. I don't like that paint color. I don't like that flooring. So if
Yeah.
they take the time and money to do that, is it really worth it?
It depends, right? It depends what they're doing. If they're doing some kind of full renovation, like say the kitchen has wallpaper on it, and all of a sudden they're asking me like, hey, should I spend the money? Should I not? Should I redo something? I hate to see them spend tons of money if they don't have to, because technically in the end, you're not going to get the full value of it back, right? So if you spend 20 grand on a kitchen, everyone thinks I'm going to spend the 20 grand and I'm going to get that back plus some in the end.
Mm,
And what happens is depending on the comps and the condition in the home, that's not always the case. So it's really, in the end, it's a case by case analysis to really figure out and say, hey, does the house next door, did they renovate their kitchen? What price did that sell at too? So, but,
mhm.
and I always try to like train whether it's someone that's going to buy a house or someone that's selling their home, it doesn't matter. But when you're looking at everything overall, you don't want to spend and put all this money into this home and you don't know if you're going to get that in return. So,
So it
There's
sounds
all these
like,
home shows that sort of imply, yeah, go fix up your house so you can get an extra 50,000 for it, but you're putting 50,000 into it. So that means you're living through the construction.
exactly.
And, I agree. When we bought our condo, the people were about ready to renovate the kitchen, and the kitchen's very small. And they were going to up the price of the condo by almost 80,000. And
Whew.
I said, you know what? just leave the kitchen the way it is and we'll just come in and buy it directly from you. And they
Yeah.
were totally shocked. Now we've done renovations, but we've done them for ourselves. So I know the day that I go to sell this, somebody may like them, they may not.
Mhm.
You have to consider what you've lived with before put any more money into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I usually, I'll have little tips like, hey, if you are going to paint, right, say you come in and say it's like bright pink color, right? Hey, if you can, if it doesn't cost a lot, or even a lot of people can paint themselves, or I even have contact someone come in and paint real quick, make it neutral, right? I know we hate white, but make it neutral, like the cream, maybe a little bit of cream, tan, white, if,
Right.
if you really have to, because then someone's going to change that color anyways. And at least it's not going to scare all these buyers away
Right.
with the bright pink, bright red, bright yellow. Like I can sell it still like that, but it does help at least for them, and even who knows, giving them a little bit more money too.
Sure.
So
Well, it makes it sort of move-in ready, right? If you
yeah.
have to start painting. I think that's what everybody's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get that older home, how do you approach it to market that out into the community?
Yeah. So if it's something that's define older, you mean as in like if it's outdated?
Outdated, right? Needs to be renovated. I mean, in our area, there are some beautiful older homes, but they're going to take renovation. So how do you
Yeah.
approach them?
Well, with those, it once again, it depends on the home and how it looks even from the inside. Because I will tell you, a lot of people don't mind doing the work, right, in renovation. So I noticed like even like the first time home buyers, and depending who that buyer is, when they come in, they may look at it and they can see past all that and they could say, wow, the bones of this home, the layout of this home I really like. I'm not scared to go in, fix it up, get my hands dirty, and I'm ready to buy this. Especially people are obsessed with being even on a certain street within a city or community or school system, and they're like, hey, no matter what, I have to be in this specific area too. And it's nice because then if I know for my buyers are looking off of XYZ street, I can actually then go back and then let the community know, hey guys, I have a pre-approved buyer ready to go, whether it's financial or cash. They're going to spend X amount of dollars. Is there anyone out there that'd be willing to sell their home? And you'd be surprised how much feedback I get where someone's like, yeah,
Wow.
I actually maybe am thinking about selling my home. Then they can contact me and I can put the two together.
So has that changed? So for a while there, the housing market, at least in Cleveland, was booming,
Mm.
right? You couldn't find a house that would get listed and sold.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that we're in that type of situation now?
Um, Actually for low inventory, yes. So with the homes, there is still demand, like there's nothing out there, right? So the demand supply. So there's hardly any supply and all this demand of buyers still looking. So what happens that, which if you have a good agent, we can help them out and say, hey, we can contact and look at for sale by owners for you, not just looking at what's on the MLS. Your agent can contact you and say, hey, what exactly are you looking for? Then we can reach out to people and say, hey, would you be willing to possibly put your house on the market or talk to me? I have someone already that wants to buy your home possibly. So which does help out, so that way they don't have to go through all the hassle of let's list it. And then you have all these the minute you list your home, the issue is you have tons of showings, tons of people coming through. So
Yep.
if your house is occupied and say you're still living there and you have, two dogs, two cats, you got two babies, two young ones, and you have full-time mom working, full-time dad working, it's hard because then
Right.
people are trying to get in to see it and you're like, I can't grab the dogs, the cat, and everyone and try to
And run
roll,
out the door.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you help somebody in that process? Because then they have to move. If they're going to sell their house, they have to go somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. So with that process, we actually make it really easy. It's as simple as we try to find out even before they want to list it, what are they looking for that new home, right? So if they're downsizing, if they're actually like, no, I don't want to find someone else, just something else, just let me go in an apartment, I'll live with a friend for a little bit, and then I'll take my time even on looking. So depending on their situation, but we always try to find out first, what are you looking for with your new situation? And the key too is also, can you be pre-approved for that new home, right? So looking at,
Mhm.
hey, with your lender, and we have context on that too, but what's your credit score look like? What's your debt to income ratio? What can you afford? Because a lot of people think, hey, I sell my home and I'm going to sell it for this amount of money, and then I want to buy a home, but they still need that credit, and they
Right.
still have to have, not as much debt in there too, even if they're rolling in their proceeds from their old home, going into the new home. So we have to make sure definitely before we even list it or do anything yet, that they're making sure that they're pre-approved on their end, whoever's going to be in that loan for that new home. So, and there's creative ways that we've done stuff crazy. They pulled something out of retirement, then they can do a gift from a family member, then they can take some proceeds from their house into the new house. So there's tons of different ways that we can help them out to make sure, hey, I don't want to be stuck in this house. I need a different home now.
What
Right.
about the senior where the family members are pushing to sell the house, but mom or dad just
They don't want
they don't
to.
want, they don't, number one, they don't want to part with all their stuff. And number
Yeah.
two, they've lived here the majority of their life. They don't want to move. Do you get involved in something like that at all?
Yeah, yeah. So that's actually very common because basically they don't want to they're like, I don't want to move, right? I don't want to go anywhere. And the family, especially the kids, right? And other family, they're concerned. They're like, Mom, you cannot go up the steps anymore, right? They're worried, or there's
Mhm.
like a fall that happens because they have the typical the bungalow, the Cape Cod, they lived in it their whole life. Very popular in all areas. So it's like they have a house that's from the 1950s. They've been in it forever, and they're like, we don't want to move. They just feel it's very overwhelming. And they'll call me, the kids will, or another family member showing their concern and say, hey, can you help me? I try to talk to them. I can't, can you step in? And I'm like, absolutely. Whether it's, they might say, don't come over, but just try to, call them first. So I'll try to quick phone call so they know it's just not a stranger coming into their home, that they feel comfortable. So you have to ease your way into it and be patient with them, right? You can't have that, even though I have like a type A personality, really hyper outgoing, sometimes I can talk a little fast, driven, ready to go. Like you have to slow down and come up with a plan for them, and literally write it out too. So you're with them in person after you chat with them, after they feel comfortable, set up a time, have them come over, and you don't even say it's an appointment or listing appointment. You come over and say, hey, just want to meet with you, talk to you. Just let's just go over a few things of possibly if you were going to leave, what would you be looking for?
Mhm.
Then you go over there, we set up the appointment. The appointment usually will last anywhere from like 45 minutes all the way up until 2 hours, depending what they want to talk about, their questions they have, any concerns going around the house, even asking questions, just, really deciding for them what they want to do. And I'm a person too that I'm not pushy. I'm very, relaxed. I'm very like patient with them. I want them to feel comfortable. I want in the end for us to be like best friends. I want to make sure that
Sure.
they feel comfortable from like a business aspect, because what also too, seniors they're very private with like their financial personal
Yeah.
information. They're like, oh my gosh, like you need to know the amount that's left in my loan. Like I don't want to give that to you. Right. So
They don't want their
they,
kids to know either.
yeah. Oh yeah. They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want their kids to know anything. Sometimes there's been times that actually they're like, can you just come over and, can you let my daughter or son know for them not to like join? They'd rather have it private. And then I think they open up more too, because then it's not any family members, any other family members or the kids or anyone coming in to know that information. And from my fiduciary duty, like as an agent, whether it's on the selling side or buying side, all that information is private. So say if the daughter's like, hey, how much do they owe left on the loan or this and that, like, let's try to help them. I'm actually not allowed to give that information.
Mhm.
The only time I can is if it's a power of attorney. So, and they actually have to give me the documentation on that too. So,
When you're working with the senior, there's got to come a point though where the family needs to be involved.
yeah.
How do you broach that subject with them?
Yeah. So, well, when that happens, so basically if it comes down to, okay, we're finally going to list this, this is what we're going to do. Now they finally feel comfortable. We can get the kids involved, but it depends up to what point. You know, if it's talking about numbers or situation, we can't. Listing the house, yes, figuring out a plan, because it is nice if you have family members of all, hey,
Gotta
let's go
move
over here
things.
on this day. Let's have movers come over. You know, I know a guy that can come out for a discounted price. Let's move this stuff out of here, or let's have even an auctioneer come out. Let's see
Mhm.
what's worth, to make sure to see, should we leave it? Should we box it up? I even have movers that they'll actually come in and they'll pack everything, box it up, and then move it to the new location. So all like an all-in-one, right? Roll out the red carpet, but for a good price. So
Yeah, that's important because they don't want to spend the money to move either, I'm sure.
no, they don't. And moving can cost thousands of dollars if you don't plan it, if you don't plan it right. You know, you can plan it if if you have your contacts, if you know people, you can plan and have everything for, a good discounted pricing depending who you're working with, right? So you just
Right.
call the, Movers of America, and they're going to charge you, $3,000, and you didn't even do your research yet, and then they're stressed because they do one phone call and they go, nope, I'm not going to move. I don't want to do it. Or they see a house or a condo and they're like, oh my God, this ranch is going to cost me, $400,000 of what I want. Or, this condo, I didn't realize how expensive the pricing is. How can you, why would I even want to, why would I even want to list with you when I can't even find something? And so that's where I come in and I help them out to make sure, hey, we can take as much time as we need to. So what's cool is we could, hey, let's list your house on the market. And then what we'll do is we'll put in the remarks so everyone knows, hey, there's a certain timeline that they
Yeah.
need, timeline and possession of getting into a new home. So we set up a contingency to make sure they can take their time on looking. So when an offer, anything comes through, or they're ready to get their, house sold, then the agent on the other side or the buyer knows about the situation. And I will tell you, a lot of people are very open. So you have certain people that they're on a timeline and they have to leave because they just sold their house. But if you have someone that's currently in an apartment, they could take their time month to month and they're willing to look.
Mhm.
That's the perfect buyer to come in then and take, and make sure they buy the house then from that person that's moving. So
Do you find it hard to find homes, condos, or even apartments if they sell their house, they have to go somewhere that fit that 55, 65 and over group? It
mhm.
seems to me when I look around, there's a lot of places with stairs and bathtubs and things that seniors can't navigate. So do you find that there's not a lot for the seniors out in the Cleveland area?
It depends where they are. So within, I notice within every city that someone's looking, right? There's a way that you can actually search and set up to say, hey, 55 and older community. Let's set that up in your search, see what comes up. But what happens is, it's funny, like you said, you're in even that 55 and up community and you figure they would all be ranches, right? No stairs. Or if it's a place, a condo that has the stairs, do they have an elevator? No, a lot of places will not. So it's not, sometimes even though we're saying it's 55 and older, it's not that friendly, or it's not like a roll in shower, or it's not having assistance available maybe within that condo community or HOA
Right.
that maybe they should. And it depends which ones they are and where they're located, where they're at. But it's sad too, because a lot of times they should say, hey, we shouldn't have the stairs. We should have these ranches. There should be more available to them. So that's why even a lot of the seniors I worked with, they're willing and open to not be in the condos because they don't want to pay the extra HOA, right?
Right.
Or they're like, and there is certain areas that even have the townhomes that, are
Mhm.
connected side by side with another property. And they'll say, hey, I only want those because then I know it's like it either is going to have a first floor master
Mhm.
or it's just going to be my private entrance and I don't have to worry about stairs or worrying about anything. I don't even have to go up to the second floor, even if I had to buy that house. So
Do you find that they end up going to apartments because of the issue with homes?
Sometimes they will. So, and they'll take their time too. So, and I'm a person that I won't be pushy with them. I don't want them to feel rushed. So if they're now, if they're finally mentally ready, right, to list the home, and they're like, hey, let's still search, right? And if we don't find anything, then can we go to an apartment temporary? Absolutely. And I actually help them even with the apartment side too. So rentals as well. So I'll help them
Good.
even if it's a rental that there's not an agent on the other side, and say there's not like a, finder's fee, like commission rate on my side,
Mhm.
I will still help them for free because I know I want to help them move out of their current home and then into this apartment, right? So they can have some proceeds, they can have some money right into their account, and then they can take their time looking and they don't feel rushed.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, I think that's important because they don't like to be pushed. We had to do that
No.
with my mother, right? She sold the house in
Aw.
Florida, which was a ranch,
Yeah.
and moved into the Cleveland area in a condo that had bedrooms upstairs with very steep stairs. So she was there probably at least 10 years or so. And her doctor said, if you fall down those stairs, that's it. You probably will never go back to a house again. So we convinced her. She didn't want to, just like they never want to give up their cars. They don't want to give up their house either.
Yeah, they don't give
She,
that up either.
he liked the condo, but it wasn't safe. It just wasn't safe, right? So now
Oh.
she ended up, and she owned that in a 55 and over community, which has the walk-in shower. And it took
Oh,
a
it
little
does.
bit for her to get used to it,
Okay.
but now she loves it.
Oh,
So
I
I
know. I
think
think it's just taking the patience and the time, right? It's there has to be a certain fit to personality wise that they need to find on the other end with an agent, right? So it's like they have to make sure they have the jive on both sides in order for it to work. And that's why it's so important. Like for me, the minute if someone wants to talk or there might be a concern about they don't want to list, you want to make sure they feel comfortable. And I'm always like, hey, let me give them a quick call because they like to call. They're not texting. They don't want to
Right.
DM. They don't want a direct message on their Facebook. They don't want an Instagram. They don't know how to log into TikTok. You know what I mean? Like they're like, hey, just call me, pick up the phone and call. They don't want to check their email. They might check it once a month,
Right.
and it loads up with a bunch of junk and then they get frustrated. They don't want to look at it. So you just really, hey, call me. Let's see if, we have this connection together. Then once we have the connection and then we meet face to face. So,
I feel like you've started to specialize in working with seniors because you have that patience. There are a lot of realtors out there, but they have a lot of different directions and that they want to go, right? And work.
mhm.
But for you, what I've noticed, partially because you're involved in our senior community, is that you have a lot of patience for that. And that's a challenge. I know you're a type A personality, but it's still a challenge for realtors, right? They want to get in, they want to get this done, sell the house, and
Yep,
be done. And you've taken the approach to hit that challenge that a senior gives you head on, right? Kindness and patience. And I think that's important, which is why I wanted to have you on because it is very challenging. We
it
didn't even
is.
use a realtor to deal with my mother. We did it ourselves.
Oh, you did it yourselves. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah.
So,
Well,
but
and sometimes too, you could butt heads because the mother-daughter thing too, right? And her being like, okay, leave me alone for a little bit.
right, it just depends on where your relationship is with
Yeah.
your, family member. But I feel like you can be that bridge. And I think
hmm
that's important and a good quality that you have to be that
Yeah.
bridge.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. Yeah. Well, and it's nice too. So I've been doing real estate since 2016, or actually, sorry, I take that back. 2017, but I was doing my schooling in 2016 on the side while being in my hotel world that I did for 20 years. So, and it was really nice because I started out part-time and then I loved it so much and I felt it was my passion. I went into it full time. So when I quit corporate America, being, working in the hotel business and doing everything from A to Z, sales, management, everything, you name it, it was nice it fit perfectly going into the role then into real estate because I understood it. It's like,
Right,
because I had to like people please and do hospitality and make sure, like my job was always to make sure, hey, are you happy 100%? When you stay at
right.
this hotel, are you getting the most, value, and are you happy? And if they weren't, I had to fix those issues too, to make sure that they
Mhm.
come back again. So it works out perfectly then with my clients. Like, I make sure they're 100% happy no matter what, even if it's something
Right.
I have to do physically to help them, emotionally, get involved in some way or form, even if it's going, even it's not even related to real estate, just helping them out. Now I'm their friend. Now I'm helping them out with whatever they need.
Right.
So
Well, and that's your customer service that you were trained to do. I
yeah,
will tell everyone, you even went to visit this friend of mine in the nursing home and brought him a little gift card, and he was so excited to see you. So you
yeah,
created a friendship
yeah.
relationship with him, and I think that was really important.
Yeah, it's nice because then they feel like, hey, you just weren't a realtor, right? We did a business transaction. Hey, you know what I mean? And just left me hanging and you didn't hear, they didn't hear from me anymore. They actually, I make sure I'm always following up with my clients, every quarter, once a year, during the holidays, dropping off goodies, home anniversaries, stuff like that, making them feel comfortable, making them feel like loved, saying,
Right.
hey, I'm still here. Let me know what you need. Give me an update on what's going on with you, you know?
Well, and the truth is seniors refer to other seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're happy with you and you made them feel comfortable and you didn't push them, they're going to tell their friend who might be ready to downsize, "Hey,
Yes.
give her a
Yeah.
call."
Yep. Absolutely.
And she gives you a cute little recipe calendar thing to put on your refrigerator too.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I
So
got that in the mail.
did you get that? Yeah. The cute little magnets. I know everyone loves them. They're like, when are you sending them out?
Well, the thing
Put me
is,
on the list.
it's a useful magnet, you know? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just a calendar, not that we don't need them, but we all have it on our phones.
Yep.
So it was nice to have the recipes.
Yeah.
See, if any of
Absolutely.
you call her, she's going to send you a recipe thing. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. I'm even sending Karen one.
Okay.
Karen's getting one now. So time's almost up already. It goes by fast
That's
when we're having a
fast. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah. So before we get off the podcast today, give one piece of advice out to either the family member who wants to work with the senior or the senior themselves.
Yeah, so I always have a lot of advice, so it's hard to center it just into one or like, kind of like a
Well,
tip of the day.
give me the
Um,
tip of the day.
yeah, so basically one of the tip of the days would be if this is huge, if someone is on the fence and they don't know what to do, they don't know where to start, whether it's them, say their husband just dies and they're all alone, they have no family, they don't know what to do, know who to call me and I can help them and walk them through the steps of what to do. Or if it's, the kids and hey, mom's being difficult, dad's being difficult, I can't even talk to them. I don't know what to do, but I don't want them to be stuck in this home all alone and they have to walk up and down the steps and they're worried about them, crazy
Mhm.
worried. Have them call me, and I can help them through everything. And here's the thing, especially with me, even if it doesn't work out where they don't want to list it right now, or it doesn't make sense for them to do it and they need to hold off, or we need to come up with another plan, I'm here for that as well. It's not just me being a realtor helping them, it's me being like a friend for free advice. So instead of maybe calling an attorney and figure out some logistics, I can do it for free and I can help them and say, hey, if it doesn't make sense for you, we're not going to do it right now. And I've actually done that many times. I just had a client that she called me and it was a referral through another past buyer. And she's like, hey, I have to sell my mom's home. And she was all excited. We're getting ready to sell it. And actually, it didn't make sense for us to do it yet because there was
Mhm.
a certain amount on the loan, then it had to go through probate. It was really tricky and sticky with a lot of different sections, a lot of different pieces. So we're holding off doing some stuff to the home to get the value up to make sense for us to list it, or
Mhm.
hold off for a little bit, rent out the property, and then when we can get the, loan amount down at a certain amount, then we can list.
Mhm.
So really it's just about being there for them. That's my tip, and saying, hey, don't be scared to call me because I will be honest with them and very transparent of what they need to do. So
So how do they reach out to you? Phone number,
they
email?
can few ways, so they can call. So I always recommend calling first. So they can call me on my cell phone number at 440-554-7712. They can text me at that same number, They can also email me, even though my email's really long. I'm gonna warn everyone, which is StephanieMcFearin@howardhanna.com. Or they can even, this is funny, I've had people reach out, they didn't remember like my phone number or where to go. If they just actually go into Google and they just type in Stephanie McFearin, I'm actually the only person that pops up. There's no other Stephanie McFearin. So what's nice is my name isn't that popular. So there's no one else.
Not like mine, right? Smith.
Right? I know it's lit. So it'll come right up and they'll see me right away. Because someone actually said that they're like, hey, I forgot where to find your info. I knew kind of how to spell your name, and they like typed it in and it came right up on Google. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, and Karen puts things in the show notes as well.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
there's no excuse. Just go to the show notes and you'll get all the information.
Oh, perfect.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you being on. I know real estate seemed to be an odd topic, but there are a lot of challenges both for the seller and the buyers. And I felt it was important to have this discussion today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Karen. Thank you, Melinda. So I loved being the host today. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
We certainly will. Thank you, everybody. Take care now.
Have a great
Yeah,
day.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.